All right, so I've already done some junk journaling video stuff, sort of, mostly where I've shown some of the ephemera that I've made for my Wonderland collection, but I haven't shown you other junk journaling stuff that I've been working on, and I think largely because I have been in the experimentation phase, and for a while I wanted to focus more on the like, here's a cool thing you can do. And then I realized that my superpower right now probably is experimenting to some degree. So I'm going to show you a couple of things that I've done and the purpose of them. And then, talk a little bit about where I want to go from here. So this is my experiments junk journal. This is a junk journal I put together. I wanted to make it just to experiment with making a junk journal out of some junk, and I actually learned a whole lot. This was, I think, a cereal box, so it was naturally, this was the side of the box, and then this was the front and back. And I thought, oh, I like this. This is perfect as a junk journal. I had seen a video, I'll try and link it if I can, about a free floating spine, and so I made some signatures. By the way, I love these. If you have a pet and you order from Chewy, any food or other pet supplies, if you order from Chewy, oftentimes they send the supplies packed in some paper, and the paper is glued in, it's like two pieces glued in the middle and then loose on either side. They're actually perfect signatures. So that's exactly what I used here. I glued them together so they were a little sturdier, but they just make fabulous little signatures, I thought. So I save them every time I get a Chewy delivery, and I just kind of have a bunch of those hanging around. But I put, I think, like 4 signatures in here and thought I'd be good because, it'll be bulked up or whatever. But even if it does bulk up a little, like, it just didn't fill the spine. And I quickly realized that I could not do what I was trying to do, especially with a free floating spine, which is one that's not really secured to the edge here. The signatures are just secured to each other. It wasn't going to work. So I needed more signatures, a lot more signatures. So I had to really bulk it up. And at that point, I had already made the cover. I'd already glued the signatures together and glued like one of them in, I think. Like, I had gone far enough that I knew I was not getting this fabric back. So I decided, you know what, this is just a good experiment. Let's leave it like that. This was an opportunity to take some junk mail that was tri-fold and turn it into a fold-out piece in the journal. I covered all of the front and back because it was actually, I realized after I put it in, longer than the signature and wasn't going to fit in here perfectly, so it needed to be covered on the back too. But apparently I don't like to abandon things I've started, so I just kept going with it, and that's really one of the only things that I've got in here right now. But the goal is, when I'm kind of goofing off, if I want to try something, this is a great place to just experiment and try it, because it's kind of already a tiny disaster. So we might as well embrace the mess and fill it up with things that I just want to do, that I'm not at all worried about being perfect. So that's my experiments journal. I also have other journals that I played around with. I watched a video, I think from Pink Monarch Prints, about making, here it is, this accordion sort of pocket journal. And the cool thing is it creates these pockets on one side. It creates an actual journal with pages on the other. Obsessed, obsessed, obsessed. So I picked that up and I just wanted to test it. This is some scrapbook paper that I didn't love, and some scrap paper that I keep in abundance. I basically never throw paper away. It's a little library card that I was playing around with. I really need to put this with my other ephemera stuff so I can use it. And one of the things I did very early when I started playing around was I was playing around primarily with papers I already had. I had this scrapbook paper collection that I'd gotten on sale, so it was great as a let's use this and see how something works kind of paper. I had paper from Flow magazine. They're a really cool magazine focused on art and paper. And I had a lot of paper from them, and I decided to use that. Unfortunately, it's the kind of paper that, like, a lot of ephemera and other stuff doesn't really match super well. So, you know, pros and cons there. But it is really cool looking paper, and I need to come back and play with this some more. I use this as a way to experiment a lot. So I created a belly band. If you've watched my previous video where I did a belly band, I mentioned that I hate the term, and I probably always will, largely because it just makes me think of dogs peeing, because we put belly bands on my dog when he was marking in the house too much. So yeah, anyway, got this belly band with this little journaling card I made. I just put some gesso over the print so that you could write over it, and they have the texture of the print behind, but it's not going to overwhelm anything you would write. I think this is supposed to be a pocket, but my word, is it tight. I don't know what anyone's sticking in there. Again, some little pockets, and just trying to play around with basic decoration. That's a real pocket, hey, with a little taggy thing stuck in it. Oh, that's it. This was my triumph of playing around with making a little tag and then making a sort of cluster of things to put on it. I even used an eyelet. Wow, I feel very professional. This was a hidden paper clip right here. And I use that to tuck a little tag in. Here's a little pocket. So I actually really like this. It's very specific in terms of theme, and I was running low on papers and supplies, and then didn't really know what I wanted to do with it a whole lot at the time. And so I sort of shifted gears for a little while and worked on some other things. So this is like my box of semi-completed journals. This is largely more paper from Flow. This one doesn't have a cover on it yet, but same concept there. This is a little zine I'd been working on. I initially started it more as like an art book, but I threw this in. This is an accordion book I made. I feel like I got this from a video, but I don't remember where or how. I got it. Maybe it was from Book and Paper Arts. But I started working on this one. I really like it. I have these sweet little carrots I glued into that pocket. And this one really is more of an art book. I've taken jelly prints and other things that I've been working with and started gluing those into the zine, and then used this leftover scrap of fabric as a little tie. And honestly, let's see, I've got one more of these. You notice I really was obsessed with this approach, and I will definitely make more journals like this again, because I think it's so fun. But this one's definitely not done. I think this is the book that essentially started it all for me. I was watching someone who was using used tea bags as collage material, collage fodder, and I just really wanted to embrace it. And so I just opened up this empty notebook I already had, and I started pasting things in. I need to go in and wax these pages so they don't stick to each other. But I kind of just fell in love. I mean, I just played around. I played with ink. I played with stamping. I got these little owls on a printed digital kit. I did spray splatters and jelly printing directly on the page and all kinds of stuff to just enjoy that. I love the texture of those tea bags. I love the sort of weird grunge in the lines. Like, this is the kind of book I could see myself using as a sort of a sketchbook that I could travel around with. And I think I started with this based on that tea bag thing, and next thing I knew, I was completely hooked. I covered it in some fabric I had, not well, but again, learning as I go. And so this is what I used as a jumping off point. And so now I have this wonderful bin of half finished journals. I don't know why this was in there. I think essentially this is a cute little postcard. It's from Peggy Dean at the Pigeon Letters. I got it when I ordered some brushes from her. By the way, her brushes are fantastic. They're my favorite watercolor brushes, and I have a large collection of brushes. And I thought it was so cute, and I wanted to use it. And I think I kind of feel like he goes with some of these journals, so I left him in there. And same with these washi tapes, or stickers, essentially, from the Flow book, that just felt like if they were going to go anywhere, they were going to go, oh, excuse me and my yawn, they were going to go in those journals. I guess that's probably why that was there too, because I'd used some of those tapes to bridge with other things I had. So that's kind of where I started. And now I'm in this place where, like, I've already figured out how to make a journal, and I figured out how to make certain ephemera, and heaven knows I have stamped on stamped. Like, I have printed out digitals. Some of these are from Louisa Heinzel. She's wonderful. She's got these great labels. I printed those on sticker paper and grunged them up. Some I printed on regular paper, glued to sticker paper. I do not recommend that. It is very bulky and weird and doesn't stick down as well as you would hope when you want to use it as a sticker. But I did that. I've got loads of ephemera. Some of these I printed, I stamped onto, I think, like these thin old magazine pages that I had, and then painted them with some watercolor and cut them out. Like, I am fully in, but still really don't understand a lot of the little bits and tips and tricks. And, you know, I watch a lot of people's channels where they talk about glue, and I still feel like they don't answer my questions. And I think some of it's just because if you've been doing something for 5 or 10 years, you don't think about it from the same standpoint as someone who's just starting. But I've literally been recording myself playing around with glue, because I had all of these scraps, right? This is some scrap, I think, this is a little mailer we got from a real estate agent, and it's just a little piece of junk mail. I've already covered one side with a page from an old book, and I'll cover the other side later. But something as simple as this, like, wait, do I glue all over this piece of paper and then stick it down? Do I just glue around the sides? Like, gluing the whole thing, you don't want to do that with a wet glue, because you'll get all of these bumps and wrinkles and you can't get it quite even. You could use some gel matte medium, which is what I do for collage with my art. I have it in a little squeeze bottle just to make it easy to use, and then glue that down with a brush, but that's pretty intensive, and it doesn't do quite the same thing. When I do collage with it, I cover top and bottom. I really encase it, and I don't want that here because I want the actual finish of the paper on top, so I don't want matte medium over top of that. And it didn't seem to ever work as well for me when I just put it on the bottom. Glue stick, great, except, you know, like, everyone has their opinions about which glue stick is the best, and I'm always trying different ones. And it's still really hard to get even coverage before things start drying. And my goodness, is it hard to get a clean edge. I think where I've landed, for a while I was doing glue stick and then liquid glue around the edges, but then the glue would start drying. And actually doing the opposite now, liquid glue around the edges, glue stick in the middle, stick it down. Because if I don't glue it in the middle, I get these like weird bubbles and it doesn't feel secure. And goodness knows if I try to cut into this at all, then the piece I cut into is not going to be glued right there. So that's the kind of stuff that I'm figuring out still as I go. So I can watch someone put together, you know, these incredible journals, but they skip a lot of those pieces because it can be kind of boring to watch. And then I ask a million questions in my head when I go to try and do it myself, because I want to make sure that what I'm creating is going to be sturdy. Some of these I'm going to give away as gifts. Some I'm going to use for myself. Some I'll probably put in a shop and sell. So I don't want to sell someone something if it's not going to hold up, but I got to figure out how to make that happen. So I am hoping that if you are interested in junk journaling, if you're fairly new to it, or if you've been doing it, but you feel like you still have a lot of those same kinds of questions, that this will interest you. And if it doesn't, don't watch. There's plenty of other content out there, some of which I create, that you might find more interesting. But in the Learn With Me series, I think we'll be mostly focusing on, you know, putting a lot of these little things together, talking about glue, talking about tape or scissors or any sort of thing I'm playing around with. And if there's some piece of information or little lesson that I've figured out that might save you some time, well, then I hope that that you find that helpful. Thanks very much for checking this out, and I hope to see you again soon. If you do like this content or other content that I've done, like some of my art videos, then don't forget to like and click the little bell to subscribe so that you'll be notified as I release new things. Thank you very much.